I wear it on my sleeve. Never surrender. I am Veteran Jesha Miller, petitioner of the Constitution's checks and balances. The government is corrupt, and this starts at the top with the President of the United States and now the Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris. As you will see, they have concealed the checks and balances from the public along with the media. Cannot be a government cover-up without the media being in cahoots. So I present you the fact that the President, as you see, of the United States, Joe Biden, has been petitioned by the Constitution's checks and balances, and at the bottom you will see a transfer of power in the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. The framers of the Constitution saw fit that when the government was corrupt, it therefore empowered the people. As the petitioner of the Constitution checks and balances, I am empowered to stop inequality. I am empowered to stop social injustice. I am empowered to stop police brutality using the Constitution's checks and balances. This is the supreme law of the land. In all respect for the efforts of Jackie Robinson, for us as a people to get equality, this is that moment. I am empowered to stop inequality using the checks and balances. This being so, the President of the United States took oath of office, of which he violates. The violating of the oath of office is also sent by the Black Caucus Joyce Beatty, as you will see right here, of which I'm the petitioner of the Constitution checks and balances petition when an entire branch is corrupt. We're talking about the entire judicial branch of government is corrupt. Take immediate action, as this takes precedence over all matters, and President Biden has concealed this for nearly a year, so it's long overdue. You can see this on YouTube using my name, Jesha Miller, Jesha Miller, and then click on my picture, go to President Biden breach oath of office. Now, this has been sent to the Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris, as you can see, but it's kind of hard on this certified mail letter, but you do see the tracking number. And this being returned by return receipt, they had to sign for it to prove that they got it. And there before you, you will see White House mailroom, April 1st. Today, April 16th. They are still concealing the Constitution's checks and balances from the public, as again you will see sent to the Vice President Kamala, and also found in the federal court, and you can see the seal. You know this is real. And as it states, break an oath of office in order to comply with the Constitution. Congress, that's why I sent to the Vice President, she is the President of Congress, to notify Congress of the Constitution's checks and balances and the President Biden's breach of oath of office. Congress has enacted federal laws to execute and enforce this constitutional requirement, required by the Constitution. The fourth federal law, 18 United States Code 1918, provides penalties for violation of oath of office described in 5 United States Code 7311, which include removal from office and confinement or a fine. Now, this is what, again, blow it up for you, living large in living color. The government is corrupt. Me being the petitioner of that, what is unprecedented. Never before the checks and balances empowers the citizen, calls for a showdown to be proven before a candid world, yet the media has concealed this from the public. This stops inequality. I am empowered to stop inequality. All y'all women out there protesting want equality, make great strides in trying to attempt to attain that. I am, as the petitioner of the Constitution's checks and balances, which requires the entire judicial branch of government to be checked for corruption and abuse of power. Now, as stated, the severity of this, of which the media has not told you, as again, I blow it up for you. You can look it up. Breach of oath requires a termination of the tenure of office. This power can be exercised by the appointing authority under the Constitution. And as I already showed you, this is a requirement of the Constitution by Congress. Now we've sent this to the Vice President of the United States as when I say breach of oath of office, okay, he got this and made no action, of which he took oath of office to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution's checks and balances, of which he failed to do. So we come back at him again. Here, as you can see, filed, going to the White House, imposed obligations which President Biden violated, concealing from the public, which is his #1 duty pursuant to Article 2, Section 3, to take care that the laws are enforced, of which was the Constitution's checks and balances. This is an essential. I said the checks and balances. This is fact. This is proof of the president's breach of oath of office, refusing to honor the Constitution checks and balances, of which he is to protect, of which he is to defend, of which he failed to do. Now, as we go into this here, there are motives. A criminal act pursuant to Title 18, Section 241, conspiracy against rights. You see, the president is not defending. This is against the rights. This is in defiance of the Constitution, of which he is held under Article 2, Section 3, his duty to do, to take care that the laws are enforced. The Constitution's checks and balances. Oh, this is a switch. Unprecedented. They must be checked for corruption. Yeah. Goes back to Tricky Dick. President Richard Nixon. That was Watergate. That was national coverage. Because, this stops inequality for the black people. The media has not covered this. This is of public concern for the entire nation when the government is corrupt. But the media has not covered this. Okay. ESPN. Black History Matters. Time to put me on. Law enforcement. I am empowered, having the authority to give orders, I've given orders for the media and those involved in preventing the Constitution's checks and balances, which is obstruction of justice. Once again, I show you. This is his duty, Article 2, Section 3, to take care that the laws are faithfully executed. And in the process, $6.75 billion for continued oppression to be dispersed by the Treasury. Oh, unprecedented. Why continued oppression? This started out at $50 million. Escalated $3.14 billion, as you would see in the first petition to the President of the United States, which is the checks and balances. The checks and balances are absolutely necessary and extremely important. Extremely important, taking precedence over all matters, because this is what upholds the integrity of the Constitution. So there is no integrity with these officials that are in office right now. Same as it was with Trump. No integrity. They refuse to honor the Constitution. Checks and balances must be proven before a candid world. Oh, and never forget, $6.75 billion. And never forget, I am empowered to stop inequality. So this being said, you got your Senator Todd Young, did not take it to the floor. Larry Bouchon did not take it to the floor. United States Supreme Court imposed slavery. There you got your stamp on it. Once again, I show you the United States Supreme Court. Not once, but twice. The United States Supreme Court, Habeas Corpus, imposed slavery because the Habeas Corpus requires them to be checked. The records stay what I say they stated, and the record says, I don't think Indiana's in full compliance with the federal government motor vehicle registration. As a result of that, we don't get a fair cross-section in the veneer. As a result of that, my client's rights under the federal and the state constitution to a fair and impartial jury as mandated, that means mandatory, through the 14th Amendment, that's due process. And through the federal legislation, I think that's been violated. So for the record, this is fact. Kind of dry in here and I ain't got no drink. But as the struggle continues on, I continue on. And the court short overruled. Grasp for what just happened. The judge, David Kiley, just overruled the federal and the state constitutions. And ain't never been held accountable for it. Yeah, they caught him. And for that reason, the president conceals this from the public. Now grasp for what I'm about to tell you. In full knowledge of the checks and balances which I just showed you, Biden nominates Ketanji Brown as the United States Supreme Court Justice, which is to strive forward for women's equality. and not at the cost of corrupting the entire judicial branch of government. This right here stops inequality. Not the ruling of something and then not to hold them accountable. I just showed you the United States Supreme Court imposed slavery, committed an act against the law called de novo, against the law. That means the entire judicial branch of government is corrupt. His knowing this, being petitioned by the Constitution's checks and balances, being imposed his obligations under Article 2, Section 3 of the Constitution, he does what? Nominates somebody for the United States Supreme Court diversion to hide what he was supposed to do as his number one duty, taking oaths to defend the Constitution, checks and balances. Yeah. Concealment. And he's defrauding the country, putting a whamma jamma flip-flop over their eyes with the war in Russia as a diversion. When he or you see been knowing that the United States Supreme Court is corrupt because they want to keep on continuing the oppression of which they have done. And all respect and due for Jackie Robinson to get equality, freedom, and justice in America. I am that man. I am empowered to stop inequality by the Constitution checks and balances. They had to be checked, they refused to be checked. And here you see right here, even the Vice President of the United States is involved. Kamala Harris is in cahoots. Breach oath of office. That's by law. Morally, it's the code of ethics. Code of ethics for government services. Put loyalty to the highest moral principles and country above loyalty to government persons, party, or department. Uphold the Constitution, the laws and legal regulations of the United States and of all governments therein, and check this part out, and never be a party to their evasion. The president received this as soon as he went into office. And as you see at the bottom, a transfer of power. As I told you, I am empowered to stop inequality, police brutality, and social injustice using the Constitution's checks and balances, which are an essential part of the Constitution, absolutely necessary to uphold the integrity. They have to be checked just like anybody else. The NBA, it's playoff time. And as petitioner, I'm in. And for the imposed obligations of the president, of which he failed to do, game's over. Been over a long time ago. Media just concealed it from the public. And I said, the president, knowing this, as you see, president did this, and you have to add, as I said, the Senator Todd Young, supposed to take it to the floor of the Senate, Congressman Larry Bouchon, take it to the floor of the House, Secretary Janet Yellen, dispersed $6.75 billion immediately. They continued the oppression This stops the American culture of oppression. You see, there's motive to why the president breached his office. Oh, and then you got Kamala Harris, the vice president, took her oath of office. The treasurer took her oath of office. All of them violate oath of office. And as you already seen, it requires termination, break of oath of office. Now, indictments. Senator Todd Young, Mike Braun, and Congressman Larry Buchan indicted for opposing property, conspiracy against rights, and Secretary Janet Yellen oppressed as she refused to disperse $6.75 billion to me. Yeah. Change the game. And while all of them have been given notice of this in the Code of Ethics states, number 9, expose corruption wherever discovered. And the Constitution's checks and balances state that it's been discovered in the Judicial Branch of government. Now, not only did Vice President Harris receive this, David S. Addington, her chief of staff, received this. Yeah, both of them received it March 31st, 2022. They already got this. Have said nothing. You don't hear me talking, right? They ain't talking. That's concealment. That in itself, once again, that's a criminal act. These are criminals. They're to continue the oppression of the people of the United States. Violating the First Amendment to speech press by the media to conceal this from the public. But right about now, they all breach oath of office. And as I'm checking this out here, those were the indictments. The motive was to impose white supremacy. That's where they do this and not have held accountable. That's obstruction of justice. That's a criminal act. These are criminals. Yeah. CNN, it's time you gave me national coverage. CBS, ABC, NBC, everybody says to be proven before a candid world. I'm showing you mine. As you can see, the ulterior motive is not to be held accountable, to prevent me from stopping inequality. You got a whole nation of people on this inequality thing. I am empowered to stop inequality using the Constitution's checks and balances, which empowers the citizen. That would be me. Veteran Jesha Miller, serving to protect, defend the Constitution of the United States, didn't stop me. Because I'm out of the United States Air Force. Reporting for duty, and it's showtime. Let's get it on. Hey, this is the playoffs, baby. You don't get to not say nothing because you empower. That's the Bill of Rights, of which no just government on earth can refuse or arrest on inference. Meaning, don't do nothing because you empower. Nope. Can't do that. That's a criminal act. Yeah. Conspiracy to deny rights, Title 18, Section 241, and oppress. That means the Treasury, Janet Yellen, disperse $6.75 billion. Oh yeah, a game changer. Yeah, and as you will see on all of these, I represent we the people. And in representing we the people, there will be hospitals, refuges, banks, jobs, opportunity. All takes money. This the money they owe by the rule of law, because they committed criminal acts. These are criminal acts. When the United States Supreme Court fails to check the records, that's part of your duty. So you ain't doing your duty to conceal your own corruption. You fail to honor the Constitution's checks and balances because it empowers the citizen. Once again, that be Veteran Jesha Miller, empowered to prove it before a candid world. As I've proved to you, they have already concealed the checks and balances from the public, in cahoots with the media to do this. I prove it by the records. Judge David Cowley imposed an all-white jury on a black man. Went our way to the United States Supreme Court. Here we go. Received, United States Supreme Court. Petitioner entitled to injunctive relief for my immediate release from illegal imprisonment with reparation from judgment of the proceedings in the Indiana Vanderburgh Circuit County Court that was so lawless that imprisonment pursuant to them is void, and therefore res judicata, being the previous judgment, is inapplicable in a habeas corpus proceeding. The imprisonment cannot be shown to conform with the fundamental requirements of due process. When the United States Supreme Court is corrupt, the entire branch of government is corrupt. And if you said it was an accident, it ain't. This is by purpose. This is intent. Because it happened twice. And once again, you see, this is the United States Supreme Court. The petitioner's restraint is in violation of the Constitution and the laws of the United States and filed a writ of habeas corpus. The writ's root principle is that government must always be accountable for the judiciary for a man's imprisonment. The judiciary is the judges. These are United States Supreme Court judges. Yeah, it's that large, unprecedented. Oh, it had been showtime a long time ago. Matter of fact, they lost a long time ago. Matter of fact, that's why they concealed this from the public. Oh, yeah. The individual is entitled to his immediate release. The habeas corpus is guaranteed by the Constitution, which is violated by counsel that has denied the writ's review to withhold judgment, which is required by the United States Supreme Court Justice's disposition for relief that was first sought in the lower courts. Yeah, I went through the rigmarole. I went through the process. Yeah, talk to Philly's Senator. He'll tell you about the process. Yeah, and so there we have it. United States Supreme Court. Vice President of the United States said nothing. Oh yeah, and the President of the United States receiving the checks and balances. The President's imposed obligations. This is what he must do. There are no options to this. These are the requirements. Or, as stated here, already happened before, take immediate action, as President Biden has been petitioned, which takes precedence over all matters, whatever y'all doing. I know you got this war thing going on. I know you're trying to do this equality thing. That's a fake out. Because if you wanted equality, you would concede to the demands of the Constitution, as I'm empowered to do, and I stop inequality. It is number one duty under Article 2, Section 3 of the Constitution to faithfully see to it the laws are executed, and he violates his office to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution. The president had 2 years to do this, ain't done nothing. And as stated, imposed. This is to compel him. And as you see right there, that's exactly what it's saying. President Biden refused to be compelled by his duty, Article 2, Section 3, execute the law. The Constitution checks and balances are the law so large. This is what upholds the integrity. They must be checked, or there is no integrity, of which the president has already proved by doing this twice. So now, breach of oath of office requires termination. This is breaking news. For Jackie Robinson, as I am empowered to stop inequality, to stop police brutality, to stop social injustice, this is unprecedented. This makes Jackie Robinson smile. I'm smiling. It is showtime. Let's get it on. Put up or shut up. It's the playoffs. You gotta prove this. You in the game, I'm in the game. Yeah. I made the playoffs. This ain't LA that you have to play in. I was already in. Yeah. Miami, number one in the East. Oh yeah. CP3 got him number one in the West. Play this. See who wins. You gotta play this. Whole world gotta see this. It's showtime. This is the playoffs in politics. Let's get it on. Playoff time. Throw the ball up. I got the tip.